Billy, you want to take care of the audience with your public service announcement? You've got a chance here to save the audience some money.
Oh, the PSA? Guys, today's the day. Cancel Red Zone so you don't get charged for the next 6 months for Red Zone when the channel doesn't work. Call your cable provider or wherever it is that you watch your things and say, hey, I'm not paying for this channel anymore. It's not going to exist for the next 6 months. Cancel Red Zone today, everybody.
No more Andrew Siciliano. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, Scott Hansen is they're going to one next year. There's just going to be one Red Zone.
We're consolidating.
Tony, where have you
we're
been?
removing people?
No way.
Now the only thing I haven't confirmed.
We know it's Hansen though.
Are they going to be splitting? I'm pretty sure Scott Hansen is just taking over. Siciliano had like a goodbye yesterday.
Yeah, he had a really sad little sign off. Although honestly, they could have let him go longer.
No way.
He was like, "This was episode 308 of Red Zone. Thanks for joining." Like, that was kind of it. And I was like, wow, sad salute to Andrew Siciliano. I've spent every Sunday with him for the last 4 years.
And I appreciate him. He's good at his job. But of the two, they're keeping the right one.
Have you ever had two? Have you had both of them?
I experienced both because my parents are a Siciliano house and I'm a Hansen house. And for me, you can't match the charm of Scott Hansen. Like, if we have to pin them against each other, I'm not saying Siciliano's bad.
It's like when Hank died all over again.
But I'm just a Scott guy. I would be genuinely sad if it was the other way around. And I'm okay with this one.
I was made really sad by it because it started with Siciliano. Siciliano had it by himself for several years, and it was such a good idea. The NFL was just like, we'll make our own, and it was kind of rude. And I did watch Scott Hansen's Red Zone yesterday, and I was waiting to see if there would be any mention of the DirecTV Red Zone, and there was an acknowledgement. I thought it would have been cool to actually hand it off to Siciliano and let him be on both for a little bit. They reinvented the way that we watched football. Andrew Siciliano and DirecTV. They invented this whole new amazing thing that didn't just change how we watch football. We want a red zone for everything now. We have a red zone for Champions League soccer. There was a red zone for Major League Baseball. It changed the way sports were broadcast, and Siciliano invented a new way to broadcast too. I don't know if you see how he does it, but it was a wall of screens. And it's not a producer in his ear necessarily telling him what's happened. He was doing play-by-play, essentially, in the early days. So I'm sad to see him go, and I don't necessarily think that broadcast gets the respect it deserves.
How does the red zone of soccer work?
Can't be that exciting.
Yeah, it's not exciting. I mean, how often do they go? Like, when? Like, they get it over midfield? They go to the game? I mean,
third. And now we're in the middle third. And now we're back in the attacking third.
Easy 11-6.
What a preposterous thing to say.
What do you mean?
There's 6 games happening at the same time.
Right.
Like,
That's it?
Yeah, there's chances everywhere. There's yellow cards. There's red cards. There's controversial decisions.
How's the witching hour
thing
work
is,
there?
I'm telling you, the last you joke,
Where
but
ties become ties and ties become ties.
Ties stay ties.
Chris Cote, are you going to Buffalo?
Sadly, I am. It's one of these things where I got caught in the air.
Sadly, I
Look,
am.
I'm going I'm not going for Meadowlark. I'm on my own dime. Me and a group of friends weeks ago, when the Dolphins were good, decided that we were going. So it was an odd group chat. It was an odd group chat yesterday. It's like, are we gonna give up on our team? Some guys voted yes, but I was like,
You gotta
I'm down.
go shirtless.
Whoa.
Yeah, you gotta go shirtless for sure. Playoffs? Yeah, you gotta write something on your chest. How many guys are going?
4. Where you still are figuring it out. Between 4 and 6.
Oh, we gotta figure out a 4-letter word for you to write on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Between 4 and 6, also how many points you'll see the Dolphins score.
Hey.
Damn you.
Do you know what you're flying? Because I believe
I am
Jessica
flying.
has a little something for Southwest Airlines.
I am flying. Never done it before. Was the cheapest option. Frontier.
Oh, it's great.
Is
I
it?
love it. Yeah.
Oh, I flew
Yeah.
Frontier once.
It was so
good.
cheap that it felt like when I was booking it, they charge you for everything. It felt like it was Spirit vibes in the booking process.
So you may not actually make it to Buffalo.
You're running certain risks when you fly cheap, as Southwest Airlines has proven most recently by being in what appears to be complete disarray as an airline.
Were you guys following the Southwest scandal? I know none of you had to really travel for Christmas, but I was glued to my phone, and I wasn't even flying Southwest over Christmas break.
I was really fascinated about how the lack of having hubs and the
Point
business.
to point?
Yeah,
I found out
point-to-point
so much
stuff.
about airlines in those 2 days. I was invested in this story, and there were people with baggage like piled up to the ceiling at Midway Airport and trying to like dig through it and find their stuff. People were stranded for weeks. It was insane. It was absolute anarchy at the airports. And now it's just suddenly gone away where no one's talking about it anymore.
It scared me away from my holiday trip. I saw what was going on at airports and I was just like, you know what? We don't have to go to North Carolina. So
I almost canceled my Christmas trip too because I was watching the news and I was like, oh no, something terrible is going to happen. This is the worst thing. But no, it was just Southwest. All the other airlines, they were like, oh, there's a snowstorm. We'll cancel a couple flights. Southwest was like, we're not going to fly for a week and a half. Everyone stay where you are. We're not moving.
It's hard to fly into Buffalo. It's not easy. And I heard you say that you have a non-stop. It also might just be a non-start. Just
It
be
is supposed to,
warned.
I think Friday it's supposed to snow there too, so who knows?
It is supposed to snow, but Sunday you got a beauty. Not a cloud in the sky, 22 degrees.
I'm flying in Saturday,
nice day.
so we'll see.
Yeah.
How does it work? I saw it's between 20 and 30, mid 30s is like the range I'm seeing.
Oh,
like,
perfect.
do I
No
need like
shirt
a
weather.
big winter coat
Where
or
are you
like?
sitting?
I'm still figuring out the ticket.
If you're in the club level, they have heat lamps.
I'm
That's what that red lighting is.
not yet. I mean, I'm gonna buy them. There's plenty available.
Game time.
I mean,
Billy's
they're
getting nervous for
expensive.
you.
Like,
I am
they're on
getting-
the second
yeah.
market, but yeah, there's a lot available.
You can't get
Promo
a
code
direct
Dan.
flight, correct? You
No, I am getting a direct. It was the only one I could find, honestly. All the major airlines, it was no direct. This one, I got direct flight there and
I'm not
back.
gonna find a direct.
I'm shocked there's a direct flight from Miami to
No,
Buffalo.
it's Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale to Buffalo. That's
Yep.
even weirder.
Yep.
Who's on that flight other than just Dolphins fans?
I have no clue.
They must just add
That's
it just
great,
for that
though.
game.
That's so exciting when
Yeah.
you're on a flight
And Bob.
and everyone there is going to be Bob the
Skylar
engineer.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be sad.
It's more exciting when you get on the flight and Tua is your quarterback, though, right? I mean, it is. It would be. I mean, you're getting on a flight to a very cold place. It's a very difficult place to get to, and Skylar Thompson's your quarterback.
I'm doing the happy to be there thing where
Okay,
it's like I've
good.
never been to a game in the cold.
Yeah.
Never
Excellent.
traveled for a
Shirtless.
Dolphins playoff
Definitely
game.
need a parka.
So I'm just checking some
No,
boxes.
shirtless.
Like, I'm going for the experience.
No shirt under the parka,
Low
though.
expectations.
Take a thermos, obviously. Yeah, take a big coat and
Bring
then be
hand
shirtless
warmers, for
underneath.
sure.
Yeah, you got to have a scarf and you have to have like a snow hat, no shirt.
Do you know what
gloves.
shoes you're wearing?
Yeah, what shoes are you wearing?
normal shoes.
Oh, wow, big
Bad
mistake.
idea.
Normal
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Maybe I'll wear a fresh pair of J's.
Don't do
No?
worst
No.
idea. It's snowing. Are you crazy?
That's insane.
The flight home, do you know when your flight home is yet? Because
Yeah.
that has the potential for being either the most fun flight ever or the worst flight ever.
Monday at 3 p.m.
Chris, when you say maybe I wear J's, didn't I hear you the other day saying that
Well,
people who wear Jordans are super condescending?
Well, whoa, Dan, listen. I am recently joined. I don't know what's the lingo. What
You're
am
a
I
shoey now?
I'm a shoey now.
no, that's what
Well, that's
Daniel
what I call
Ricciardo
him.
calls it when you drink champagne out of a shoe.
I'm a sneakerhead, a sned. So I've recently joined the crew. I have 3 pairs of J's now, and I've always thought, you see people. Tony's one of these people. Fuentes. We got a few around here. They think they're better than you when they're wearing Jordans. What does that mean? And I got news. They're right. It just,
wow.
it just gives you when you are walking through like a mall and you got a pair of J's on. You're better than anybody else that does it. Like, you just are. And it's just, I didn't, like, it was one of those things I always saw and felt the vibes, but when you put it on, it's true.
Put it on the poll, please, Billy, at LeBatard Show. Are you better than other people when you wear Jordans?
But what makes you better than other people? Because everyone has access to the shoes. Because you walk, everyone, like the 3 of you, probably 2 of you are wearing the exact same pair.
Yeah, it's just, it's a whole thing. Like, how much you paid for him, you just feel good about it. You just feel like.
Hold on. To Chris Cody's defense,
Thank you. Come on, get in here.
yeah, he's been this year. He's upgraded obviously his shoe game, and he's gotten a nice couple pieces. He's actually gotten 2 really nice shoes that were probably the 2 best drops of the year. The Amamanier 4s, they're like a beautiful suede, like tobacco color.
Let's not
did,
talk about how
Tomas.
much we paid for them.
Wear the suede ones to the
They're
snow.
not suede. They're like it's like a color of like a tobacco.
This
suede.
is who you want to align with.
I do.
And the lost and found ones.
Oh, the Lost
Oh my
and
God,
Found
best
ones,
drop of the season.
Tough
Sick.
ally,
Incredible.
Chris.
No, he's right.
I'm right.
And
I'm 100%
I'm
right.
right about it making you better than everybody else because it just does.
Billy says that they're accessible to everyone. They're not, because they're so expensive.
Look at these two jokers. They got them.
Understood.
He's talking about the
Fair
expense,
point.
though. I mean,
The expense doesn't make them available to everyone. And also put on the poll something that I heard Tony say during the break. Should Max Crosby's first name have 3 X's in it?
Hubba hubba?
Because he
more intimidation.
He is.
I'm just saying, do that ring around the rosy crap against Brian Cushing and see what happens.
Put it on the poll.
He'll get concussed.
Would the Chiefs? Would the Chiefs do that ring around the rosy crap around Brian Cushing at LeBatard Show? Why are you fighting with your bookies, Stugotz?
Dan, I had a parlay. You know what? I'm gonna pull it up here. I had a parlay. I got a $100 parlay, and I hit 4 of them. And it was very obvious. This is going back 2 weeks ago. If you look at my betting slate, and I love a good betting slate, but if you look at the history and you look at that day, there was no way I was taking the Indianapolis Colts in any other bet, okay? There was no way. I wasn't taking them that day. I had the Giants straight. I had the Giants wrapped in like 10 parlays. I had the Giants in teasers, okay? I have a $100 5-team parlay. I hit 4 of them.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Well, no, I hit 4 of the 5. At halftime of the Giants game, I realized that I had hit the Colts instead of the Giants. So I texted my bookie at halftime and I said, listen, look at my slate from today. Have I given you any indication that I want the Colts in any bet? Now, at the time I texted him, I still had 2 4 o'clock games that I had to win, okay? And I texted him at halftime. I said, can we switch it to the Giants, or can you just make it a 4-team parlay? And we're still fighting about it. Like, I'm not going to see him. I'm not going to meet him in the alley. He's not going to meet me in the alley. He might be in the alley. I'm not showing up until someone makes a ruling. Someone other than him. I need a committee. Because what I asked him was, listen, can we take this 5-team parlay and make it a 4-team parlay? And I ended up winning the 2 4 o'clock games. I would have won $1,910, okay? Had I simply clicked on the Giants. I did it. So what he said he would do for me is not meet me halfway, not make it a 4-team parlay. He said, no, what I'll do is give you the original $100 back. And I'm sorry. I have been a customer for over a decade. People are doing this online. I'm still meeting you at some alley behind a Starbucks somewhere. Cut me some slack and give me the parlay. Seriously. So he said no. So we're fighting, and we're not talking. And that's it. It's been a week. But I keep gambling. What's wrong?
Sounds like your bookie is a crook.
The room. Well, you're the only one who
Rookie.
thinks this. It seems like from the faces, because I believe Whittingham, Billy, and Mike, from what I saw on their faces, the gall on Stugotz to think that his mistake is something his bookie should correct in the middle of betting. I think that's what your faces are saying. I'm not certain. The idea that he would blame his bookie for a mistake that he made.
But that's why you still do it the OG way, though. Especially if you're a lifelong customer, if you're 10 years, you build up a lot of points.
Yes.
I mean, you're not in a DraftKings state.
You're probably a good account for him.
I'm a good account for him. I told him, hey, there are plenty of places I can go. It's legal now, okay? I don't have to meet you in an alley behind the Starbucks anymore in Plantation. What?
Plus, you can get the off-white Chicago ones for that price.
I mean, it's an unfair ask. I got my $100 back. That's a good start. I mean, I did. I got $100 back. I mean, but I feel like I should win the bet.
Just such an old school story. This is like a story out of 2007. In an alley, and then my bookie, and then I texted him like, I've never done this before, and so the idea of like you hitting the wrong button on whatever website you do to book this just seems like, that's a mistake that you're not getting paid back on. Yeah. If you bet on an app and your sausage finger hits the wrong button, then you got to eat this one. Take the cash out prize or something like that.
Imagine telling the lotto like I meant that number instead.
So it was 2 weeks ago. I had the Jaguars easy winner, Lions easy winner, 4 o'clock games. I had the Packers, easy winner. I had the Chargers, the easy winner. Halftime of the Colts game. Now, keep in mind, I have a large amount of money on the Giants. Straight up, they were playing the Colts that day. And I have the Giants in every tease and every other parlay.
Doesn't that serve as your hedge then? Like
nowhere
come out in the end.
Nowhere was I suggesting that I was taking the Colts. Okay, so I asked.
Oh, but you're making that call. You're making that call when you're down like 40-0 at the half, correct? The Colts were down big and they were never in that game against the Giants.
They were down 17-7 at halftime.
Yeah, they were.
And
I still had 2 games to win, Dan. It's not a slam dunk.
I know, I understand. And getting your money back is something I don't think many people would do as bookies. But I'm surprised that you guys weren't making faces because of the ask from Stugotz.
That's what I'm wondering is how often do you ask this? Like, it seems like this is not the first time you've done this, that you just expect that they would do this for you.
Listen, it was the first time I'd done it, and I was thinking to myself as he gave me the $100 back, I should have done it more. I mean, sucker.
Wait, so you got your bet back?
God.
You got your money back? But you want more?
He's agreed to make the bet go away, eliminate the bet. So he saves me $100 by doing so. What I was saying was make it a 14 parlay and pay me for winning that parlay. The gall, now that it's coming out of my mouth. What a terrible ass.
It really is. I gotta think, I wonder if your bookie hung up the phone and called his other bookie friends. They're like, you're not going to believe what just happened.
He screenshotted your text message and sent it to all of his bookie friends.
You know what, bookie? The fight is over. There is no need for a committee. I spoke it into existence and heard the words come out of my mouth, I realized I was wrong, and you were right.
The committee is just the bunch of old guys in Casino, right? That
Yes.
That Pesci and De Niro were working for. Like, I don't know. You asked the bookie to call. You asked to talk to a manager.
I asked him basically to pay me, I think, $1,000 for me making a mistake.
$2,000.
Well, no, because it goes from a 5-teamer to a 4-teamer. So, I mean,
you guys see the reports yesterday that Sean McVay is up in the air about whether to come back or not? He would have gotten such a monster deal as a Super Bowl winning coach if he had just gone to Amazon. I can't even imagine how much money he would have made a year ago. If the time off he's taking now, what is the dollar amount? It's over $100 million that he would have made if he had, as Amazon is getting into the game, if Amazon had hired Sean McVay and been able to promote a splashy new hire of, we got the Super Bowl winning coach, we got him. We stole him away from football so that we can have his analysis and have it be him instead of Jason Garrett being the recycle.
But the report from Andrew Marchand of the New York Post was that Amazon were prepared to offer as much as $100 million over 5 years to have McVay in their broadcast booth next to Al Michaels.
And now he thinks about going away. Like, he must have been, if he's thinking about doing this now, he must have been in some sort of state like that before. I wonder, as all those guys struggled, Aaron Donald and everyone else talked about whether or not they might retire, I wonder if he felt obligated to come back because they were running it back. But there was talk at the time that he was tempted by that offer, and I would have.
It wasn't just tempted by that offer. It was tempted by a need to, get away from the game for a little bit. He just got married. At that time, he was about to get married, and that rumor had been out about Sean McVay even for a couple years prior that he might move into broadcasting. So the report that came out Sunday was just more of the same. And this season obviously didn't go well for Los Angeles. He probably had some regret over the decision he did make. And I still think that money will be available to him. There really isn't an open slot, but you can add to booths. You can become a 3-man. It's not like Amazon has a working budget that they're gonna stick to.
I'm looking at it not just as money lost, though. I'm looking at shine and sheen lost as the game evolves, and now
he didn't lose any.
There are other.
He didn't lose any. Like, if once he steps away and he decides to come back, he will have the prime job available to him.
The reason I bring it up is because these other coaches can replicate what it is that he does. He was the only one at the time. He would have been going away at a time that Shanahan was 4-12 or whatever because his team was broken. He would have been going away he was the front horse on all of these coaches. And now as you get the Walton family, the Walmart family fighting over Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh or the sexy new thing.
Right, look at the coaches that they're fighting over. Sean McVay is a lot
Sean
closer.
McVay will have his day again if he wants it.
His success in that sport.
I agree that he'll have his day again. I'm talking about the difference between having your day when you haven't had what we just witnessed, which is, oh, that's interesting. Other people in the sport with young talent and young scheming, other young people in the sport are able to
They're all
recreate.
from his tree. He is if he becomes available to other NFL openings, he will set a new watermark when it comes to salary. He lost zero shine from this season. Quarterback got hurt. They entered with a bunch of injuries. They went for broke for the Super Bowl. It worked out. He's a Super Bowl champion. Every hot name in the sport has worked with him at some point. He is the man. He should walk away.
But it can't be zero shine. You didn't lose zero. It can't be zero
You lost
shine.
a little, Mike.
If you
I feel like it wasn't
mind.
a lot. And also, I feel like anytime one of these stories comes out, I'm like, does this guy just want to raise? Like all this Harbaugh stuff coming out right now, like he wants to interview with the Colts and the Broncos, and I'm like, does he just want to raise from Michigan? How seriously do you take any of these rumors now when you know that agents just put this out into the universe? The Sean McVay thing, maybe there's truth to it because we did hear reports of it after the Super Bowl last year, and things obviously didn't go well for him. But anytime I hear a story like this, I'm like, they just want more money. Good for them.
To me, it's bizarre that still the youngest head coach in the NFL, because he still is at 36 years old, is sort of acting as if like he's doing the profession a favor by carrying on doing it. That like even the notion that he would retired. Andy Reid just comes back after every season of winning 12 games and just is like, yeah, I'm coaching next year. Like there's nobody is going about any of the other successful head coaches. And maybe this is like a shift, like a sea change in like maybe younger coaches want a tiny bit of work-life balance, but we all know that Sean McVay is going to be coaching for a very long time.
But it's not just work-life balance because I understand why you would find that part of it strange. But the part that I find strangest, Stugotz, is that more and more coaches aren't tempted by, well, wait a minute. I can make twice the money and the job is only 1,000 times easier? I can make twice the money because he ain't making $20 million a year coaching the Rams. And the Rams, he's got to coach them all year long, and it's got to be obsessive compulsive, and it's got to be this guy's working 100 hours a week, so I got to work 110 hours a week. That is not what the job would have been at Amazon Prime. At Amazon Prime, he would have had half the year off. Half the year where he's not doing anything.
It's a lot of work still, but not nearly as much work as being an NFL head coach. Like Sean Payton came out and said he might stay at Fox. Like I think some of these guys are at least starting to think about it, you know?
But the job is I cannot explain to you how much easier the job is for more money. And if I say to the audience right now, hey, whatever job you're in right now, double the money and it's going to be a lot easier. Like there's no conundrum.
But they're wired different. Like these people are competitors. They want to win. They have this professional pride, and in a lot of instances, they were failures, and they left kind of like ashamed and weren't able to accomplish what they had set out to their entire life, and they want another shot at doing it again. Or they achieved it early on, and then people think, hey, they lost a step. Like people don't get fired as coaches because they're on top. They leave kind of disgraced usually, and they want to go back and try to recapture the glory.
But to Dan's point, yes, I think most people, and you're right, Billy, but most people would say, wow, a lot more money, less work, I'm there. I know I would.
Most people aren't getting the Sean McVay offer, though. Like some of the highest paid NFL coaches, sure, because they are higher paid because they have the experience and usually the success. But like the other young coaches in the NFL aren't going to get that same offer. Like Kevin Stefanski and Arthur Smith, like they're not getting that same job offer. It's Sean McVay because he took his team to 2 Super Bowls and won one and became like the NFL head coach wonderkins.
You would think that would make it easier for him to walk away because he's been to 2, he's won 1. But I guess to Billy's point, there's an addiction to this job. It defines them. It's who they are, you know?
He should do it now because he's going to get uglier. I mean, we saw with Cliff Kingsbury. If we're gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't put Cliff Kingsbury on TV right now. You know what I mean? Like maybe on ACC network or something.
He's 3 months in Cabo away from looking like Cliff Kingsbury again.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's the job. It's
3 months in Cabo or 3 months, from seeing Dr. Lenny Hochstein or something.
Lenny Hochstein.
Whittingham bringing up the youth, though, is I don't know where the line is on this one, Stugotz, but young people, especially post-pandemic, have a different relationship with work than the generations that are older. There is a young people movement of, explain to me again why the constructed norm is I work until I retire at 65 when I have safety and security and I wish upon myself all these pressures when I've already won. Because it's one thing for Stan and Jeff Van Gundy to keep being tempted to come back because they haven't won. But what's McVay got to prove to anybody? Like
that he can win again, I guess. I'm just saying in his mind, it's ludicrous.
Won with Matthew Stafford, a career loser as a quarterback, swallowed by the Detroit Lions. Why does he need to work 100-hour weeks? And this is Andrew Luck spoke to this. Andrew Luck, who is about McVay's age, spoke to this when he talked about his marriage, Stugotz. McVay is newly married. Hell, I could speak to this at 53 and 54. I love doing this. I want to be with my wife more. Like this is consuming, and it's not NFL head coach consuming at all. And so I can understand why some of the tug would be, well, why can't I have anything that resembles balance? Because I've always got to be worried about whether my defensive back's knee is okay.
Are you saying Sean McVay is the Gen Z representative of the NFL head coaches?
He's 36 years old, and if it's going to change with a generation of, I don't want to be Belichick. And he said before, has he not? He said, I'm not coaching. I'm not going to be somebody. He has said,
He's been consistent about that.
But it's wild that he would even say that because any like Belichick's and Andy Reid's and these guys that have been around for a million, like Sean McVay, having won a Super Bowl at the age of 35, could have been well on his way to a all-time great career in coaching. And the idea that he's already, I'm ready for a break at 36, like it's pretty wild for like generally given the personality types of NFL head coaches to be like, oh no, I'm going to give up that chance to go pursue all-time greatness and I'm going to take a break for a year.
I think he is an all-time great already. I think he'll be looked at as Bill Walsh, this godfather of a certain way of football. His coaching tree is going to be immense. I think he's a Hall of Famer already.
He's a Hall of Famer already, but what I'm saying is like he could be like the Tom Brady of coaching. And over the next 30 to 35 years, put together this incredible career of winning 8 or 9 Super Bowls and be unassailably the greatest coach and, as you say, thought leader of all time.
Yeah, but coaching, there's a lot of coaching hipsters out there. Some people would take Walsh over Bill Parcells. It's just, I think his reputation and all that he's accomplished is not going to be taken away from him just with one bad season. All these other coaches that were a part of his tree are only going to have more success, and he's going to be looked at as a Bill Walsh type guy.
I agree. It's just that you normally do not see this personality type in NFL head coaching. It's normally just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. I'm coaching. These are
Dick Vermeil did this at an older age.
Left and came back, yeah.
These are the most imbalanced people in sports, I think.
Well,
NFL head coaches.
Dick Vermeil had a bit more balance.
Can we ease up on Bill Walsh, please, Mike? I love you, but no, Mike, he won 3 Super Bowls. Like, he reinvented the game. He came up with the West Coast offense. Like, Sean McVay won a Super Bowl. I
think you're dismissing what he did, but okay.
Sean McVay's offense needs a name. Because the West Coast offense...
Yeah, I'll whisper... I'll whisper in your ear to the very last second type offense.
Belichick's coaching tree is not nearly what McVay's already is, but let's talk for a second about the generational gulf, as you mentioned, Andy Reid.
You should see the Walsh coaching tree. Oh, is it glorious? Mike Holmgren's on it. I mean, so is George Seifert.
Don't forget Mooch.
Oh, Mooch! And Jeff Fisher. Oh, my God. 8-8. And Dungy, and Gruden, and McCarthy, and John Fox, and Sean Payton, and Dick Duran. What a tree.
Dick Duran.
You
Happen to have it right in front of me, sorry.
Yeah, I know you weren't doing that from memory. You mentioned, I know Dick Duran and John Fox did not just tumble out of your
Is
mouth.
Dick Duran coaching in the XFL next year?
I don't know, but Andy Reid also on that tree. So was Johnny Harbaugh. I mean, Mike Sherman and Marty Morningwig.
I haven't heard anyone talk to Andy Reid about the serious subject matter that I'm about to talk about as it relates to Andy Reid. It's not just losing a son as he did, and all of these coaches have their laments about not being home enough, not being with their family enough. It goes back to Joe Gibbs and the idea that he would have his family tape record dinner conversations so that he could be a part of them. Or, you know, Norv Turner's wife would end up having to go to his office to put the family pictures up because they get so obsessive. But pretty quietly, Andy Reid was spending time with another son at the facility, and he had too many drinks at a facility, and now he is in jail because he hit a young girl, and he is in jail because of what happened from him having too many drinks at the facility. And I am telling you that I could see how a young person with like McVay's life, recently married, would look at the lives of the lopsided way those lives must be because you're competing against people who are also lopsided. They're control freaks who don't actually have that much control but want total control over, or the illusion of control over, their 10% of things that they can actually control. And you're always trying to compete to beat those people. I can see a 36-year-old who's already won it, who's newly married, that this isn't just to get more money, Jessica, because he's got plenty of money. He's got more money than he'll ever spend, and he's got the thing that most of them don't have. If I'm running out of money, I could just come back. I could try it. I just haven't seen something like this where a guy this age is so publicly waffling on, do I really want to do this? And furthermore, I'm telling you right now, I ain't doing this forever, period. I am not built like these other people. This is not for me forever. I'm not, because I really don't think that the audience understands. Like, we could say 80 and 100-hour weeks, but you're never actually at home. Like, the wives of these men complain about, like, my man's not present when he's home. He's always worried about something, thinking about something. Somebody needs him for something. There's always some sort of problem. 53 employees. Hell, we only got like 40-something around here. 53 employees that you got to worry about all the time. Their concerns, their needs, what they're worried about, their human
just the
beings.
players.
Yeah, that's just the players.
We went to see, me, you, Mike Ryan, Chris Whittingham went to see Mike McDaniel. He told us the story of, honey, I'll be home in an hour. And then Tyreek Hill happened. And 7 hours later, she called him and said, where are you? And he was like, oh, I forgot. You know,
I've been watching film of Tyreek Hill, and we're gonna put him in our offense.
He's one of the young ones, too.
Yes.
I know I'm just being the cynical one today, but I'm looking here and it seems that John Gruden and Sean McVay have the same agent. I'm just saying, until he actually leaves, this could also just be that.
I agree with you. It's like the same thing anytime I see a player that's like, maybe I'm going to retire. And then they sign a huge extension. Until they actually do it, it doesn't indicate anything to me, because this is how you get extensions in the NFL or in any sport. You float rumors that you're going to leave if you have leverage, and then you get it. And Sean McVay could be a different scenario, sure, because he's always said what Mike said, that he might not want to coach for his whole life, which is fine. But until he actually gives up coaching, I'm like, well, he might just be getting.
But the only reason I think, there are two reasons I think he's a different scenario. It's not just his age; it's that these broadcasting jobs are easier and more lucrative. They've never been.
He's won already.
They've never been this.
And he's kind of displayed in isolated moments what he could do. Everyone thinks he's going to be amazing at it. He'd be incredible at it.
Yeah, he'd be great at teaching us football. He would be great. He would have some of the things, Stugotz, that Romo has.
And there's a lot of guys, even Romo seems to be, there's a bit more separation from when he played. McVay was at the cutting edge of innovation at that sport. The things he could tell you. Right now, there aren't many people that can actually tell us. People tell you that commentators get coverages wrong all the time. I mean, I would love to see him at that job.
Let me go back for a second, Stugotz, because you've heard me talk before about just really being amazed at the number of former Dallas Cowboys who get to have great broadcasting jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the big show of Sunday night football, and Jason Garrett is there, and I found myself getting agitated because I remember how bothersome I found that Jason Garrett just stood in front of microphones for 10 years as Jerry Jones's puppet and said nothing. And I'm like, why would you hire that to be at the center of what it is that you're doing? Is it just because the Dallas Cowboys, it's not just Moose Johnson and Troy Aikman and Tony Romo and Michael Irvin. They're just, and Jason Witten, that team gets so much of the broadcasting money. And I ask you in the audience, do any of you remember anything Jason Garrett has had to say about anything? And do you care about anything Jason Garrett has to say about anything? When you mention McVay and teaching me something.
Actually, Dan, I have to interrupt you. He came on the Golic and Smitty live show and told me I had a very firm handshake.
There you go.
So that is one
That's
thing.
all that matters. Yep.
That's all that matters.
He said firm handshake.
80%
Wow.
of business deals. That's how they close.
Mm-hmm.
Who let go first?
Obviously not me. You think I'm going to let go of that handshake first? No. I'll shake his hand for an hour if I have to. Firmly. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to shake your hand. No, I'm going to shake your hand. See, he let go first.
It's very intimidating.
The answer to your questions are no and no.
But do you wonder to yourself as you're watching Jason Garrett, do you wonder at all why is he up there?
I know why he's up there. He, believe it or not, he did actually have to work for the NBC job. For the NFL job. He was on their USFL coverage. NBC has a history of promoting from within. He impressed. I think what he did with the USFL was he brought a reputation with him, and he kind of legitimized it, and he kind of appeared a lot better than everybody else because he was so close to his NFL days that you put him back in with the rest of them, and it doesn't stick out nearly as much. But he did try to work his way up that ladder there.
Drew Brees failed in a similar position at NBC. Not everyone is good at it. But as someone who doesn't consume Jason Garrett, like this happened with Marino too, but at least with Marino, I understood it. I was surprised when Marino got hired for the CBS show because I'm like, my God, he was terrible in front of the microphones on purpose. Like, why would you hire somebody who's not good at saying interesting things?
All-time great, and man, was he good looking. I mean, he still is.
But is
I
that
should
what's
say he
happening?
was.
But don't you think that like somewhere in yes, Dan Marino gave those press conferences, but somewhere inside of Dan Marino is an interesting pundit. It's just like it's whether or not he decides that he wants to give it to you. Like we don't think that Dan Marino is a boring hang, do you? Like I think he'd be a great hang.
No, his story.
You get the real Dan Marino if you hung out with Dan Marino.
Glasses of wine, yeah.
That's not what you get on television, though. That's never the guy on television.
But you get Dan Marino at the bar at an Anthony's Coal Fire Wings and forget about it.
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
it's a different guy.
The stories you will get are amazing. That is correct. But he will give none of them to America, which I thought is what you get paid for in those positions.
I mean, some people lose a little bit of their give a bleep when they get on television. Like
Not him.
Troy Aikman over time has lost a little bit of his give a bleep, and he's gotten a lot better at television as a result.
Great hands.
Do you think Jason Garrett has lost any
No,
of
I've
his
never thought
give-a-bleep?
once I really want to hang out with Jason Garrett. Never once.
You know what I do during Football Night in America?
What?
I look at Jason Garrett's face when other people are talking, and I am deeply unsettled by it.
I'd rather hang out with Sean McVay. Wait, no. Oh, you guys were talking about Jason Garrett. I was thinking of Sean McVay. Okay.
The announcement, because no one heard it, was I'd rather hang out with Jason Garrett than Dan Marino.
Yeah, my bad.
Which we thought was crazy.
I was
But
thinking of
McVay
Sean
over
McVay.
Marino, we get it.
I just
Yeah.
don't see that. You guys are building up Marino as this great hang. I don't see.
Oh, you've never been to Runway 84.
Exactly right. I mean, I had a dinner with Dan Marino.
I always pick the Yinzer.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Would you want to hang out with Jason Garrett?
No.
And is Dan Marino a good hang at Anthony's Coal Fire Pizza.
You should see him at the Capitol Grill.
See you, Gary.